You do not have a motivation problem. You do not have a laziness problem. You have a system problem. Everything you were told about willpower, about just trying harder, is quietly setting you up to fail. Because self-discipline is not a gift some lucky people are simply born with. It is a skill, built on the actual machinery of your brain, and that machinery can be rewired. Today I am going to show you the real science of discipline, and how to engineer it on purpose. Not vague advice. The actual psychology of habits, willpower, and the wiring underneath them. By the end, you will understand why you keep breaking promises to yourself, and how to finally stop. Stay to the end, because the final principle is the one that makes all the others effortless. Let's start with the war happening inside your head every single day. You have, in a sense, two brains fighting for control of your choices. The first is ancient and emotional. It wants pleasure now, comfort now, and reward right now. The second is newer, behind your forehead, the part that plans, waits, and thinks about the future. Discipline is simply the moment the future-focused brain wins the argument over the impulsive one. And here is the key insight. You cannot win that fight every single time with raw force. The emotional brain is faster, older, and stronger. In a head-on battle, it usually wins. So the secret is to stop fighting it, and start outsmarting it instead. That is the whole game. And to do that, you have to understand the engine behind almost everything you do. The habit loop. Researcher Charles Duhigg described it beautifully in his book, The Power of Habit. Every habit runs on three simple parts: a cue, a routine, and a reward. The cue is the trigger. Stress, boredom, a time of day, a place, a feeling, a notification. The routine is the behavior itself. Reaching for the phone, the snack, the cigarette, the scroll. And the reward is the payoff your brain remembers, the little hit that says do that again. Repeat that loop enough times, and it carves a deep groove into your brain, running on autopilot. That is why bad habits feel automatic. You are not choosing them. The groove is choosing for you. But here is the liberating part. If habits are built, then habits can be rebuilt. You do not break a bad habit by force. You rewire the loop, keeping the cue and the reward. When the old cue fires, you simply feed it a new routine that gives a similar reward. Stressed and reaching for your phone? Keep the cue, but swap the scroll for 10 deep breaths or a walk. Now let me give you the practical tools that make this rewiring almost automatic. Tool 1, and it is the most powerful of all. Design your environment, not your willpower. Your surroundings quietly decide your behavior far more than your motivation ever will. Willpower is unreliable and exhausting. A good environment works even on your worst, weakest day. So make the good habit obvious and easy, and make the bad habit invisible and hard. Want to read more? Put the book on your pillow. Want to scroll less? Leave the phone in another room. Want to eat better? Do not keep the junk in the house. You cannot eat what is not there. You are not weak for failing with temptation in arm's reach. You are human. So remove the temptation. Tool 2. Shrink the habit until it is too small to fail. James Clear calls this the 2-minute rule. Do not start with an hour at the gym. Start by putting on your shoes and stepping outside. Do not vow to write a book. Vow to write one single sentence. That is the whole goal. The point is to make starting so easy that your impulsive brain cannot object to it. Because the hardest part of any habit is never the doing. It is the starting. So shrink the start. And once you have started, momentum quietly takes over, and you almost always do more than the minimum. Tool 3. Stack your new habit onto an old one you already do without thinking. After I pour my morning coffee, I will write down one goal for today. The old habit pulls the new one. Your existing routines are powerful anchors. Chain the new behavior to them and let them carry it. Tool 4. Make it satisfying right now, because your brain craves an immediate reward. The benefit of exercise or saving is far away, but your emotional brain only feels today. So give yourself a small, instant reward for showing up, and bridge the gap to the long-term payoff. Even just marking an X on a calendar feels good, and a chain of X's you will not want to break. Now let me share one of the most famous experiments in all of psychology, because it matters here. In the 1960s, at Stanford, children were each given one marshmallow and a hard choice. Eat it now, or wait 15 minutes alone, and be rewarded with a second one. Years later, researchers found the kids who waited tended to do better across much of life. For a long time, people read this as proof that discipline is a fixed trait you either have or not. But the deeper lesson is far more hopeful, and it is the real key to everything. The children who succeeded were not superhuman. They used simple tricks to distract themselves. They looked away. They sang songs. They covered their eyes. They changed their environment. They did not outmuscle the temptation. They outsmarted it. And that is a skill anyone can learn. Discipline was never about being born strong. It was about being strategic with a weak moment. Before we wrap up, there are a few deeper principles that quietly hold everything else together. The first one changes the entire game. Stop focusing on goals, and start focusing on identity. Most people say, I want to run a marathon. That is a goal, and goals are surprisingly weak. The disciplined person says instead, I am a runner. That is an identity, and identity is powerful. Every action becomes a small vote for the type of person you are quietly becoming. Write one sentence today, and you cast a vote for being a writer. Do it daily, and it becomes true. So do not ask, what do I want to achieve? Ask, who do I want to become? Then act like them. The second principle is a clever trick called temptation bundling, studied by behavioral scientists. You pair something you should do with something you genuinely want to do, so they ride together. Only listen to your favorite podcast while you exercise. Only enjoy that show while you fold laundry. The want pulls the should along, and suddenly the hard thing carries its own built-in reward. The third principle is about failing, because you will fail, and that is completely normal. The rule that separates winners from quitters is simple. Never miss twice in a row. Missing once is an accident. Missing twice is the beginning of a brand new, unwanted habit. So when you slip, do not spiral into shame. Just make sure the very next day, you show up again. Self-criticism feels productive, but it usually just makes you quit faster. Self-compassion wins. The disciplined are not the people who never fall. They are the people who always restart quickly. The fourth principle is the quiet magic of compounding, applied to your own behavior. Getting just 1% better each day does not feel like much at all in the moment. But 1%, repeated every day for a year, makes you dramatically, almost unrecognizably better. Tiny habits are not small. They are the seeds of who you will be in 5 years. And the fifth principle is the foundation under all the others. Protect your energy and your sleep. Self-control is far weaker when you are exhausted, hungry, or stretched dangerously thin. A rested brain makes good choices almost effortlessly. A drained one surrenders to every impulse. So sometimes the most disciplined thing you can do is simply go to bed earlier tonight. Take care of the machine, and the machine will quietly take care of your discipline for you. So let's bring the whole science together into something you can actually use tomorrow morning. First, stop blaming your willpower. It is unreliable for everyone, including the people you admire. Discipline is not a feeling you wait for. It is a system you build, quietly, around yourself. Second, understand the habit loop. Find the cue, keep the reward, and swap only the routine. Third, design your environment so the right choice is the easy one and the wrong one is hard. Fourth, shrink every new habit until starting is laughably easy, then let momentum do the rest. Fifth, stack it onto an old routine, and reward yourself instantly for simply showing up. Do this, and discipline stops feeling like a daily war you are losing, and starts feeling automatic. You will not need to feel motivated, because the system will quietly carry you on the empty days. And that is the final secret. Motivation is what gets you started. Systems are what keep you going. The disciplined life you want is not behind a wall of willpower. It is behind a few smart designs. So pick one habit, shrink it, and design your room around it, starting today. Just one. Tell me in the comments which habit you are rewiring first. And subscribe for more on the mind.